Get yourself under control. See what you can do about the tyranny of culture, and see what you can do about the civilization of nature, right? That's the construction of a walled garden. That's what paradise means, to get the balance between civilization and nature right. That's your goal, so people can live in there in peace and harmony, including you. That's a good goal. You know, you've seen bullseyes, classical archery bullseyes. They're red in the middle usually, right? And then there's a variety of colored circles around them. Maybe the whole bullseye is this big. And you're supposed to hit the bullseye, but the closer you get to the center, the better. But at least you could hit part of it. That would be good. And you're supposed to stand back and pull your arrow back and aim. And so that's an acting out of something. It's an acting out of the necessity of having an aim and taking your best shot. Now, and if you think about that, most of our sports are like that. Soccer's like that. Rugby's like that. Basketball's like that. Hockey's like that. Almost all team sports involve some sort of projectile going to some sort of target. And usually people organize themselves into hierarchies, 2 of them, because there's 2 teams, and then they compete and cooperate to get the projectile in the target. And for some reason, we think that's really cool. People will spend a fortune to go sit in an arena like a long way away from the action, and there's these guys out there, and they're tough and they're fast, and they're fighting with this little black frozen disc, and they're trying to get it in a net while someone is trying to stop. It's completely bloody absurd, and yet people are thrilled about it. They're thrilled, and they'll pay for it, right? They don't have to be dragged there kicking and screaming. Like, they line up. It's, oh God, a hockey game. Thank God. And you think, what in the world is going on with that? It's like you're happier when that happens than you were when you got married. So, and let's not assume we're so stupid, even though we are. Let's not assume it. There's something behind this. It's like, we really like to see people take careful aim and hit the target. And we really like to see them cooperate and compete in an expert manner to do that. And we really like to see them do that in a way that stretches their ability beyond what we would normally be able to see. And you think, right on. That's what a human being is like. And you're not really like that because you couldn't do it, but you are human, and conceivably you could do something like that. And so it's a nice display of that potential for us to hit the damn target. So then the question is, well, what's the target? And that's the question, because that's the same question as, what's the meaning? Here's my target, let's say. I'm typing. And when I'm typing, I'm moving my fingers, right? And that's not thinking. That's moving my fingers. And I don't really know how I move my fingers, but I can do it. And I can do it on a keyboard. And so I can type letters one at a time. And so you might say, well, what are you doing if you were watching me? And I'd say, well, I'm typing letters. That's my aim. So I'm pretty happy when I hit an A and an A appears, and I'm not that happy when I hit an A and an E appears and I have to backspace. A little annoyance there, right? Because I've shifted off the target. A little frustration. I fix it. That's okay. Back on track. But I'm not typing letters, because like, who wants to read a bunch of letters? No one. You want to read words. So I'm trying to organize the letters into words. So goal 1 is the letters, nested inside goal 2, which is the words. But you don't want just random words. That's not helpful. How about some phrases? That'd be good. How about some sentences? Letters, words, phrases, sentences. Now we're starting to get into units of meaning, right? And those are directions. They're like a map. They have a point. Like a book has a point. Like a story has a point. And the point is to outline the map properly. And then not just sentences, paragraphs. And those are organizations of sentences that make the sentences make sense, and the phrases, and the words, and the letters, all nested together. And not just paragraphs, chapters, right? And then chapters nested in a whole book. And then not just the whole bloody book, because that's not enough. The book doesn't work unless it's in a culture that's composed of maybe 1,000 books in some sense that are widely known by all of us, even if we haven't read them. I can assume that the reader is a mechanism that can understand what I've written, and that's part of where the meaning is too. And so that's all nested together, all of that, to make it meaningful for me to sit down in the morning and concentrate so foolishly in some sense on moving my fingers up and down on a keyboard. Right? What's meaningful about that? Well, nothing. Who cares if I type a letter? a single letter. Yeah, well, how about a word? How about the right word? How about the right phrase? How about the right sentence? Well, every movement outward more broadly makes it more meaningful. And if that whole structure is coherent, then all of the small actions become associated with the meaning of all of the large-scale actions, right? I'm not just typing letters. I'm writing a book. Why? Okay, then we get broader. This is the bullseye. This is the structure of the bullseye. The center might be the letter, you know? That's one way of looking at it. That's the highest resolution thing. I got to get that exactly right. And then it's nested inside all of these other structures. Well, I'm an educator. Okay, so I'm hoping the book will be educational. Well, why? Well, because maybe it would be better for people to be educated than not to be, so that they don't have to suffer so stupidly, and so they could be less malevolent, and that the world would be a less brutal place. That would be all right, right? And I'm doing that maybe because I want to be a good person, something like that. Okay, so now we're a long ways out in the moral hierarchy, and so now we might think about, well, what does it mean to be a good person? Does that mean something? Well, you think it does, because you know people who are good people, and you know people who aren't good people, and you make a qualitative distinction between them, and you know when you're being a good person and when you're not, and you make a qualitative distinction between that too. So here's some ideas. What does a good person do? Well, they take care of themselves. And so that means don't be so damn useless and constrain some of your malevolence. And that's a good, meaty, bloody war to get involved in. It's not trivial. It gives you something to do when you get up in the morning. And then it might be the same with your social organization, your family. It's like your family could use some work, man. Just like everybody's family, and you might be able to help. And the company you work for, same thing. Like there's work to do in most organizations. A little honesty and a little hard work on your part might straighten that thing out just a little bit, and God only knows what the consequences of that would be across time. And then, you know, there's natural worries that you might want to take care of. There's diseases to conquer, and there's children to take care of, and there's food to provide, and all of the things that go along with that, so that you could involve yourself in taming and regulating the natural world. And that would be a good thing. So there's 3 sources of meaning. Get yourself under control. See what you can do about the tyranny of culture, and see what you can do about the civilization of nature, right? That's the construction of a walled garden. That's what paradise means, to get the balance between civilization and nature right. That's your goal, so people can live in there in peace and harmony, including you. That's a good goal. And then you think, well, that's going out quite a ways, you know? You're the culture hero who's taking on your own malevolence and ignorance, the tyranny of your culture and the cruelty of nature. Great. We need more people like you. Go for it.